Hi everyone. For years, Prince William has maintained the image of an exemplary royal calm, dedicated and silently bearing the heavy responsibilities of the British monarchy. But now, at the age of 41, this prince has finally broken his silence. For the first time, William has spoken out about one of the deepest and most hidden pains of his life: the controversial interview with his mother, Princess Diana. In an emotional statement, the prince asserts that the interview was orchestrated using forged documents. The interviewer exploited Diana's insecurities, planting baseless fears in her mind and weaving a false narrative about the royal family, plunging her into a state of paranoia and severe emotional distress. William isn't just leveling an accusation, he's unveiling a glimpse of the psychological battle he and his family endured behind the glittering facade of the palace. This is more than a confession. It's a powerful declaration that the truth must be restored to the departed, and it marks the first step toward healing wounds that have lingered for decades. So, what has Prince William admitted? What suspicions has his revelation confirmed? Join us as we dive deep into this captivating story in today's video. As a child, Prince William was carefully sheltered by the royal family and adored by people worldwide. But did that protective shield truly safeguard him from profound emotional wounds? As an adult, this widely admired prince has publicly acknowledged a truth that many had long suspected, even feared. Could the traumatic events of his childhood, from the tumultuous marriage and devastating divorce of his parents to the sudden death of his mother, Princess Diana, when he was just 15, have left indelible marks? For years, whispers circulated that behind the glamorous royal life, William was quietly grappling with inner struggles. But how accurate were those speculations? And is the truth behind them as astonishing as the public might imagine? Prince William, born on June 21, 1982, at St. Bone. Mary's Hospital in London is the eldest son of King Charles, a central figure in the United Kingdom's most powerful royal family. With such a background, it's easy to assume his life would be a perfect fairy tale brimming with privilege and glory. But is reality that simple? From the moment he took his first breath, William's life was shrouded in unrelenting pressure and scrutiny. Against this backdrop, his mother, Princess Diana, emerged as a figure determined to reshape royal parenting. She resolved to give William and his younger brother Harry a more grounded upbringing, taking them to places royal children rarely ventured: homeless shelters, AIDS clinics, and even McDonald's. Was this her way of ensuring her sons understood the real world beyond the palace walls? Yet, despite her efforts, did Diana truly succeed in shielding her children from the storms she couldn't control, particularly her chaotic marriage to King Charles? Delving deeper, the relationship between Diana and William reveals thought-provoking details. Beyond showering him with unconditional love, Diana turned William into her confidant, sharing her pains and struggles, burdens that might have exceeded a young boy's capacity to bear. She called him her little wise old man, a nickname both affectionate and indicative of the unusual role he played, not just her son, but her emotional protector. When Diana's marriage to Charles crumbled, William, though still young, bore the weight of his mother's profound sorrow. But could he have anticipated the even greater shock that fate had in store? On August 1, 1997, Princess Diana, the most beloved royal icon of her time, perished in a horrific car accident in Paris. William, then only 15, was at Balmoral Castle in Scotland with his brother Harry when their father delivered the devastating news. How could a teenager in such circumstances cope with the sudden haunting loss of his mother? The world witnessed William's anguish at Diana's funeral as he walked behind her coffin, alongside Harry, King Charles, Prince Philip, and Earl Spencer. The image of the two young princes, their faces frozen in grief, etched itself into the memories of millions. But behind that public moment, what truly unfolded in William's heart? He later revealed that the decision to join the procession wasn't as straightforward as it appeared. Torn and uncertain, he questioned whether he had the strength to face such loss under the world's gaze. It was his grandfather, Prince Philip, who gently encouraged him, "If you walk, I'll walk with you." Was this advice the anchor that helped him endure the most harrowing moment of his life? William later described the experience as one of the toughest challenges he'd ever faced. But the story doesn't end there. After Diana's death, William and Harry retreated from the royal spotlight. They wrestled with their grief in silence for years, never publicly expressing their pain, leading others to believe they had moved past the loss. But was it really that simple? What transpired during that prolonged silence? William later stunned the world by admitting he'd lived in a state of numbness for years, unable to accept or process the departure of the most significant person in his life. What seemed like a shield of silence turned into a festering wound, inflicting profound damage he hadn't foreseen. So what finally compelled William to shatter that wall of silence? And what do his revelations tell us about a prince's journey through grief? Let's analyze and uncover more. What has the Prince of Wales disclosed about the burden of his mother's tragic death? Do his recent confessions truly peel back an unknown layer of this prince's life? William has openly shared the profound impact of Princess Diana's passing on his mental health and personal path since that fateful moment. Could this admission be a window into an entirely new side of him? One even the closest observers have never fully glimpsed. It raises a critical question. Did his royal status shield him from internal battles, or did it merely deepen the wounds he tried to conceal? For years, he buried his emotions, convinced that showing vulnerability was unacceptable for someone in his position. He threw himself into his studies at Eton College and later at the University of St. Andrews, where he met his future wife, Kate Middleton, but was immersing himself in academics, a genuine way to escape his pain, or just a desperate attempt to outrun the ghosts of his past. In a recent documentary, William candidly confessed that the shock of his mother's death still lingers within him. "I still have shock within me. People say it can't last that long, but it does," he shared in BBC One's Mind Over Marathon. What does this admission signify? What does it reveal about the depth of trauma he silently endured for decades? His brother Prince Harry added that confronting painful memories is essential. But why did it take William so long to do so? Now the Duke of Cambridge. He told the BBC he had to learn to live with the loss of his mother, though it weighed like a stone on his heart. In a rare moment of vulnerability, he emphasized that the shock remains the most overwhelming sensation he feels even 20 years after her death. He described it as an unhealable wound, an event so monumental it never fades. He even revealed feeling his mother's presence at his wedding to Kate at Westminster Abbey in 2011. Is this a sign that Diana remains an inseparable part of his psyche, or merely a means of comforting himself amid irreparable loss? What do we see when we examine William's growth through a royal lens? Princess Diana chose a distinctive parenting approach, breaking the monarchy's rigid molds, fostering humility and confidence in William and Harry. But after her death, much reverted to tradition. William attended prestigious institutions from Jane Minor's nursery to Wetherby Preparatory School in London and later Eton College. Was this the royal family's way of preparing him for future duties, or an attempt to confine him within a safe framework, shielding him from further harm? He studied at private schools with meticulous tutoring, a deliberate setup to mold him into a future king. But did this academic path truly help him overcome the shadows of his past? At Eton, William focused on geography, biology, and art history, subjects that showcased his sharp intellect. Earning an A in geography, a C in biology, and a B in art history wasn't just academic success. It was evidence of his resilience amid turbulent years. He also displayed leadership, captaining the swimming and football teams and excelling in water polo. But what drove these achievements? A desire to prove himself, or simply a distraction from inner turmoil? Sending William to Eton instead of Gordonstone, the school favored by his father and grandfather, marked a notable shift. Was this Diana's wish, or a compromise to grant him personal space? In exchange for privacy during his education, William had to regularly update his family on his life, all while facing scrutiny from sensationalist media. Did this arrangement genuinely protect him, or did it pile on more pressure to hide wounds he didn't want exposed? The head of the Press Complaints Commission, John Wakeham, ensured that during his university years, Prince William was viewed as a young man navigating a critical developmental phase rather than a public figure or celebrity. This underscored the importance of his academic years. However, William's student life wasn't entirely rosy. He faced challenges, including a severe head injury in June 1991, caused by a golf cart driven by a peer. The resulting depressed skull fracture required surgery at Great Ormond Street Hospital, leaving a permanent scar. Yet his troubles didn't end there. In 1990, William suffered another accident, breaking a finger and necessitating hand surgery to prevent further damage. After completing his studies at Eton, he chose to pursue a military career. During his training years, the official divorce of Prince Charles and Princess Diana unfolded, profoundly affecting William emotionally and mentally. He felt compelled to protect his younger brother and mother from the media. She was failed not just by a rogue reporter, but by BBC leaders who turned a blind eye instead of asking tough questions, he said. William endured his adolescence under relentless public pressure, as media attention intensified on the royal family, particularly him and Harry. He credits this experience with shaping his views on privacy and his relationship with the press. Witnessing his parents' marriage dissolve also influenced his perspective on relationships, and marriage leading him to approach romance with caution and introspection. Ultimately, he balanced public duties with his personal life. His parents' separation and its fallout shaped his understanding of his future royal role, while Diana's charitable work inspired him to follow in her footsteps as he matured. Breaking the silence and advocating for mental health in recent years, Prince William has emerged as a leading voice in mental health awareness. Sources say the Duke of Cambridge has opened up about Diana's death and his mental health struggles to end the stigma surrounding grief and mental well-being. In a powerful GQ interview, he admitted that sharing his struggles has been life-changing. He no longer sees vulnerability as weakness, but as strength. He revealed being in a better place than ever before, able to speak openly and honestly about his late mother, recall her more vividly, and discuss her publicly with ease. Continuing his candor, William noted it took nearly 20 years to reach this stage of acceptance and openness. He admitted it's still difficult at times because the pain was so raw. He highlighted how mourning his mother was uniquely challenging. Unlike most people's grief, everyone knew her story in her life. William struggled with the publicity of her death and the tabloid coverage. Silence became his only refuge. But that wasn't all. Not only did they let my mother and family down, they let the public down too, he told GQ. He expressed sorrow that his wife Kate, the Duchess of Cambridge, and their children Prince George and Princess Charlotte never met his mother, wishing she could have offered advice, met Kate, and watched his children grow. Undoubtedly, William openly grieved that she'd never experienced these moments, and that his beautiful family would never know Princess Diana. He shared this with journalist and politician Alistair Campbell. Yet he didn't stop at breaking his silence. Alongside Prince Harry and his wife, Catherine, Princess of Wales, he launched the Heads Together campaign in 2016 to dismantle mental health stigma and encourage help-seeking. William has been astonishingly honest about his struggles, hoping to inspire others. He's quoted saying he also criticized the toxic masculinity culture that hinders men from addressing mental health issues. Since then, William has spearheaded major initiatives like Shout, a 24/7 crisis text service, and Mental Health at Work, a support platform for employees and employers. He's gone further, engaging openly with athletes, celebrities, and mental health experts to foster conversations about well-being. Like William, Prince Harry battled his mother's loss for years. Interestingly, the younger prince handled his grief differently. His approach might shock you and reveal why he differs from William. In a recent interview, Harry admitted bearing his grief far deeper than his brother, making its eventual unearthing all the more agonizing. Therapy prompted by William unearthed the immense emotional burden he carried as a boy. The contrasting effects on the brothers may stem partly from their ages when Diana died in August 1997. At 12, Harry was arguably too young to grasp the enormity of the loss, even believing a motherless life was normal. But the most surprising revelation: he's cried only twice since her death, a striking admission amid the nation's outpouring of grief. He wept once at the funeral and once afterward. Watching the country mourn, Harry recalled wondering how so many could cry so intensely. His 12-year-old self was baffled that strangers who never met his mother seemed to feel her loss more deeply than he did. The media noted this when the royal family faced initial criticism for staying at Balmoral, appearing detached from public grief. After the Westminster Abbey funeral, Diana was laid to rest privately on an island at Althorpe House, the Spencer ancestral home near Northampton. Though deemed concluded, the pain lingered for the princes. Earlier this year, Harry spoke of suppressing his emotions for nearly 20 years, highlighting the challenge of understanding the psychological toll of such detachment on a young boy. His recent admission of nearing a breakdown in his late 20s resonates powerfully. In an interview, Harry shared craving a child's most basic comfort, a mother's warm embrace. He described Diana as the best mother in the world and a loving hugger. In a rare, vulnerable moment, he admitted missing that family element, a void her absence could never fill. He stressed that Diana remains ever present in his and William's thoughts. So why doesn't her memory ease his pain? He revealed that not a day passes without them wishing she were still here, wondering what mother she'd be now, what public role she'd play, and what difference she'd make. Do these questions reflect a profound longing for a future they'll never see? Meanwhile, William's journey weaves privilege with pain. From his early days as a young prince to Diana's tragic death and the weight of royal duty, he's recently turned his pain into purpose. Does his openness about grief and mental health prove he's redefining modern royalty, leading not just with duty, but with empathy? As a devoted husband to Catherine, Princess of Wales, and loving father to Prince George, Princess Charlotte and Prince Louis William aims to prioritize emotional well-being in his family and society. But is this ambition feasible within the monarchy's rigid framework, or just an ideal he's striving for? William's honesty about his mother's death and its lasting impact raises a question. How far has he come from a grief-stricken boy to a man ready to heal? Beyond self-healing, he extends compassion to those enduring private grief, offering solidarity to those with untold stories of loss. What drives him to honor Diana's enduring legacy, preserving her values as an integral part of his life? Is this his way of reconnecting with her or ensuring her lessons endure? As he prepares for his future as king, William signals he'll lead not just with tradition, but with heart. What does this mean in today's context? Can a compassionate king reshape the monarchy? Or is it a noble aspiration amid harsh realities? What do you think of William's revelations? Is he handling his grief better now, or are there still hidden depths? Let's analyze. Is this openness a true step forward, or a veneer masking unhealed wounds? Share your thoughts below. Like, share, and subscribe for more. Click the next videos on your screen. You won't want to miss them. Revealed. Prince William's shocking plot to strip Meghan Markle and Prince Harry of royal titles is a secret plot being quietly orchestrated by Prince William. At this very moment, breaking news from Radar Online unveils a stunning plan. The Prince of Wales intends to strip Harry and Meghan Markle of their Sussex titles when he ascends the throne. But is this truly the case? Or merely a story inflated for attention? We'll soon hear analysis from Brittany, editor of the Royal News Network. But first, let's dive deep into this captivating and shocking report from Radar Online, a source gaining traction lately. They describe William as ruthless, a heavy word, but is it accurate? I don't think so. Could this simply be his rational way of protecting the royal family? So why did Radar Online choose this term? They claim William is eagerly awaiting his coronation to take action, poised to remove the titles of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex if they dare publicly criticize the royal family again. But hold on. What is Radar Online basing this bold assertion on? They cite an unnamed courtier. The king was especially hurt when Harry called him an emotionally cold father in spare. This sounds dramatic, but who said it? Is it fact or just a rumor? Woven to amplify the narrative, Charles, at 76, is said to fear being seen as petty by the public if he revokes titles granted by his beloved mother. A reasonable concern, but does it genuinely stop him from acting? William, in contrast, is portrayed as unwavering. But what drives him? Loyalty to the monarchy, or a deeper personal motive? Is the palace truly preparing for this scenario behind closed doors, or is this mere speculation from Radar Online? Let's pose the question. If William is really raring to act as they say, why isn't he pushing for it now under his father's reign? Is Charles holding back, or is a larger plan being concealed? We need to scrutinize every detail. The truth might be more complex than what's been revealed. Is a silent conspiracy unfolding in the shadows of the palace? An insider discloses that behind the scenes, the royal family has tacitly approved stripping Harry and Meghan's titles if they cross the line again. But wait, who are these people whispering this? And does tacit approval signify an official decision, or just gossip echoing through corridors of power? Revoking titles requires an act of parliament, no small feat. So why do insiders insist the palace has held secret meetings to strategize? When did these meetings happen with whom, and what does this feasible plan entail? Radar Online reports it, but what evidence backs them up? The royal family is reportedly furious that Meghan brazenly flaunts the Sussex title for her and Harry's personal gain. This insider, Babasant insider, once again unnamed, confirms it. But is this fury as intense as claimed, or an exaggerated emotion to justify forthcoming action? When King Charles passes, William will certainly pull the trigger and strip their HRH status. The source asserts. The word certainly rings with confidence, but what guarantees William will do this? Does he have a clear blueprint? Or is this just a prediction rooted in current tensions? Then the story shifts. Harry is in trouble. He misses his family terribly, but no one in the royal circle speaks to him anymore. This news stuns us, but why is it surfacing now? Is Harry truly isolated? Or is the palace deliberately painting him as an outcast to rationalize future moves? Brittany, my goodness, Charles seems reluctant to go hard, or rather too lenient, as I see it when facing Harry and Meghan's blatant breaches of the Sandringham Agreement. But William is different, isn't he? He won't let it slide? Or is that just what we want to believe? If he strips their titles upon taking the throne, would it be the right call? Or just an emotional gambit? We need to dissect this further. Is William safeguarding the monarchy or hiding a personal agenda? Is Prince William truly the one to change the game? Or is that just conjecture from insiders? Brittany asserts. I've always thought William would be the one to enact any change. But why William and not Charles? She suggests Charles is acting more like a father than a king. A striking observation. Is he too soft? Or is something deeper holding him back from the Sussex threat? Brittany argues Harry and Meghan are diluting the royal brand, but how much and who feels the impact? She likens it to a company chasing brand copycats with full force. So why doesn't the royal family do the same? Is Charles indecisive? Or does he have a hidden strategy? Brittany predicts Charles won't enact. It will fall to William. But what makes her so sure? She denies William is eager to be king, suggesting instead he may seek a lasting fix for Harry and Meghan. Yet why does everything remain status quo? Are the royals intentionally letting it drift or biding their time? In this modern age, things change too fast, she warns. But if they're caught flat-footed, as she puts it, who's accountable? Charles is battling cancer and adjusting to kingship. But are health and inexperience the only reasons for his hesitation? Brittany hopes William won't have to do it. But if not him, then who? I agree, I reply. But the question lingers. Why isn't Charles tougher? He's shielded from stress due to severe cancer. A worrying detail. He might live with it forever. So what makes him think the Harry-Meghan situation will resolve itself? With counselors of state, he opted to add people rather than strip Harry and Andrew of duties. A safe choice, or just a delay? Brittany, the royal brand, is at stake. Harry and Meghan diminish it daily with tacky, revolting projects like A's ever Netflix Lemonada Media. So why doesn't Charles act to protect its sanctity? I've advocated stripping their titles since they left. But is that the only fix, or just a knee-jerk reaction to what I foresaw? Brittany concurs the royals need a remedy. She highlights Meghan's bullying allegations. No recourse because she's a principal, not an employee. How weak is this system, she suggests. If you leave the family, you leave the titles at the door. But why hasn't this been enforced? For the kids, she says titles should tie to being raised and educated in the UK. Sound logic. But why do Harry and Meghan cling to them from California? They desperately hold on, despite Meghan hating all things royal. What does this contradiction hide? Brittany asks. Do other royals have similar rules? Sweden mandates in-country education for titles. A clear precedent. Princess Madeleine returned to preserve her kids' legacy. Denmark and Sweden stripped lower members. So why does Britain hesitate? Charles may fear backlash, but Brittany thinks the public would accept it since monarchies must modernize. But if so, why doesn't he act? Is he protecting Harry or his own image? And if William takes over, what will he do differently? We need to dig deeper. The truth may lie beyond these simple explanations. Is Meghan Markle genuinely chasing a billionaire dream? Or is it an overblown fantasy? Brittany, consider this reality. Meghan seems determined to hit a massive financial milestone. Many scoff this will never happen. But the issue isn't whether she succeeds, it's what she's willing to do to try. Could this ambition drive her to increasingly tacky, awkward actions for the royals? Brittany. You flagged her plan online this week, writing that delusions of grandeur have always been strong with Meghan. But what fuels that delusion? She won't become a billionaire. That's clear. But what's the real motive behind marrying Harry? If he doesn't see she's after dollar signs, Not love is Harry the fool, you claim, I agree, but that's a bold stance. Explain further. Brittany responds when it comes to their marriage. I made a YouTube video years ago, still popular, showing Harry with hearts and Meghan with dollar signs. I don't believe she ever loved him. But hold on. Is that speculation or fact? She argues Meghan loved Harry's title and money-making potential, not him. Why? She flamed out as an actress, aged out of sexy roles, and was desperate for a wealthy man. But was her talent truly lacking? Or did she just take an easier path? Harry's the fool she exploited. But is he really that naive, Brittany? Notes everything they have done, especially this year, is a soulless cash grab. Example affiliate links for clothes from her throne room in a 15-millionaire mansion, absurd or coldly calculated. She continues, Meghan flaunts bracelets, jewelry, but is disappointed Harry's just a lowly millionaire, not a billionaire. What lies behind that discontent? She props him up with occasional love-bombing praise. But why not more if she cares? Last week she could have distracted the public with her product line, but didn't. Why? It's all about protecting her, Brittany insists. But protecting what reputation or cash flow? She cut Harry off from his family. God forbid he goes home out of fear of losing him or his benefits. Brittany questions the only reason they got deals is his family, not her talent. Does Meghan realize this or deliberately ignore it? Harry's an absolute fool if he doesn't see she married him for money. Now, I'm sure you're seeing a harsh verdict, but if he knows and stays what, then? I agree, brilliantly explained. Is Meghan Markle truly trapping Prince Harry with a clever strategic snare, as we've seen this past week, Brittany? Consider this. She says, oh, fine. Focus on your charities, but then sabotages them. She falls out with the Bali Center, head causing a total disaster, and hijacks the Invictus Games until all eyes are on her. She heads home early, her own choice. But why Brittany? What's really happening? She's made it impossible for Harry to leave. Kids in California, money in her hands, no plans for him with Netflix or any projects. Was this calculated from the start? Harry's cornered and trapped, but who's to blame? He's done himself a disservice by not being proactive financially, Brittany says. Spare was their biggest earner, but now he's completely stuck. Why didn't he see it coming? How much cash are they burning, Brittany? They splurge on security private jets. But where's it from? How much is Harry's inheritance, and how much has Meghan torched? They have income, but outspend it. Home maintenance, lawns, pools, a relentless money pit. Can their talent offset it? Brittany calls their brand a disaster. But what broke it? Harry's isolated with kids in Meghan's manipulation. She wanted this. But why did he go along? Brittany sympathizes due to manipulation, but how much was his choice? He made his bed and must lie in it. But if he wakes up, what changes? She loved his title, his money, not him. Does Harry see it? Or is he willfully blind? I agree. Digging into Meghan's past, I found she just wanted a famous British boyfriend. Cardell, Max, George, Ashley Cole. Odd picks, but what do they reveal? She hit the jackpot with Harry. But did he fall for her out of naivety or desperation? Brittany. Let's shift to the real royals. King Charles, with incurable cancer, still did 18 engagements in 10 days before hospitalization. Why push himself so hard? Matt Wilkinson from The Sun reports family wants Sophie to help, forcing him to slow down. But Sophie, steady loved by Queen Elizabeth II, isn't tasked with big jobs, despite her eagerness. Why does Charles refuse? He hesitated to give Edward and Sophie the Edinburgh titles, but they got them, so why not use them? They're a lovely family, no scandals, devoted kids yet. Charles shoulders it alone. With serious cancer treatment, what drives his refusal to rest? Is something hidden behind this persistence? Is King Charles facing an unsolvable paradox? I feel terrible for Charles, Brittany says, because he waited a lifetime to be king, only for his health to crash disastrously now. Why disastrous? What's really going on? He wants to work, and Brittany praises that diligence. But is this dedication masking a steeper cost? She suggests bringing Sophie and Edward into more events to ease Charles' load. They get little notice, but why not leverage them? If it helps him conserve energy and avoid hospital stays, why doesn't Charles agree Brittany gets his drive? I'm king, I need to be seen to be believed. I need to. But is he prioritizing image over health? She notes voluntary abdication trends elsewhere. William might do it with George, but Charles won't. Why is he set on reigning to the end? Brittany hopes he'll delegate to Sophie, a marvelous royal, and Edward utterly lovely. But if they're willing, why does Charles resist? He fears being seen as too frail. But does that outweigh health? What's this strange tug of war, an internal struggle, or palace pressure? I concur. He waited a lifetime, Brittany, for this role. But what's the irony of reigning through brutal cancer treatment at 70? Despite medical advances, he's fragile. So why not lean on family? I doubt further slimming the royals, and 70. William and Catherine less active. Why not empower the Edinburghs? And Eugenie Beatrice, they've long wanted duties. Why not deploy them? Britwine agrees 100%. Charles didn't adapt after Harry and Meghan left, leaving a big gap in the younger generation. Working royals average mid-60s to late 60s. Kent Gloucester's Alexandra retired. Who'll step up Beatrice with a history degree and dedication Queen's dress as proof is ready? Louise and James too, but they're too far down the succession. Does that matter? Anne's aging, who will handle small events reports, call most impactful. William and Catherine's kids will work, but it's 15 years, 2 decades away. William gives them choice. What if they decline? Sophie's the obvious answer, public loves her. So why does Charles delay Brittany? It's great digging in with you. Royal News Network on X and YouTube, perfect for exploring global royal news. Thanks. Thanks for watching, I say. Dan Wooden, Outspoken. Click to subscribe, ring the bell for live shows, interviews, and special episodes. There's a podcast too, but the question lingers. What's Charles guarding and who'll truly take over?